Good morning, warriors, or good afternoon. I am to say today is July 25th, 2022. Didn't get a chance to do one this morning, but I'm going to try to upload one this afternoon for you guys today. Hope you guys are doing well on your purpose. Hope you guys had a nice weekend. I did a couple over the weekend. I have a little time off right now until we get back into the busy type of season, so I'm doing stuff around the house, but every so often I get a chance, I'm going to kind of do one. Thank you guys for all your comments, likes, subscriptions. God King 3192. I like that comment about Vince McMahon, and we're going to talk about that in a second because I think that there is a really good idea behind it. And we can see that when we talk about people who are powerful people who have a lot of energy, but they end up kind of self-destructing in the long run. So let's talk about that a little bit. But anyway, please go ahead, subscribe, comment, like, and we'll continue to kind of put out information to kind of help you a little bit. So, God King 3192, thank you. A shout out to you for an excellent type of comment to kind of focus on this topic that we want to talk about. A lot of powerful men and women, but men especially, end up self-destructing. And let's talk about that a little bit in terms of our semen retention type of journey that we're on. So, obviously, we talk about the whole idea of losing energy, you become weaker, right? So, when I grew up in the 60s, and 70s, we all had this idea that, okay, we had a sexual revolution going on. You can do anything you want. Go ahead and sleep with anybody you want to. And now, many years later, 60 years later, we still see that. We see that even more than ever. The question then becomes, is as we talk about this from an energy standpoint, this becomes very draining. Now, some people are very blessed by God. They have a lot of energy, a lot of sexual energy within themselves. And you see this with a lot of people who are very powerful and they're able to accomplish a lot of things and they're able to transmute that energy effectively for a lot of what they do. But there's people who also have talked about the fact, and you talk about, Nikola Tesla and all these people in the past who, and Mike Tyson and Muhammad Ali and Malcolm X, who were unbelievably, successful in things that they did because they abstained from all of that. And then, of course, you see the people, the Rat Pack and all these other types of people over the years. And I love, Frank Sinatra's music and I love Dean Martin. But if you look at the lifestyle of a lot of those people, they probably drain energy all over the place, And the thing about that is that as you drain energy, both your physical and mental health suffer. And eventually what happens is you kind of self-destruct and you lose all those things that you're happening. And nowadays, when you see so much things going on with people abusing each other and having a lot of weird type fetishes and behaviors, now you're seeing a whole different thing that the Bible never wanted people to do. It goes back to the same old thing that happened many thousands of years ago with the Roman Empire, Babylon, Sodom and Gomorrah. You can go on talking about how societies destroyed themselves with these same very behaviors. And people think this is a progressive new age type of thing because we're in the year 2022. Human stories repeat themselves. This is what the Bible is so practical now, even though it was written thousands of years ago. Because the same human behavior God is telling us is going to happen. Once people get God out of their life, they think they're God and they can do anything they want. And so going back to God King's comment about this one individual, we can apply that to everybody that's been in those power positions. All you got to do is look at the news and see how many people get caught for things that are, deviant behaviors. And they're doing those things. Whether it's cheating on your own marriage, that seems to be the lessest of the problem right now, even though it's a huge issue in itself. Now you got people looking at things like, pedophilia, all these other kind of stuff you see, and they're focusing on all this other kind of stuff that gets them away from normal type behavior. Well, why? Well, very easy. Once you start looking at pictures and once you start doing this with people, now you're not satisfied with just one type of thing. Now you're looking to more and more. And if you don't have a basis of that energy, you start then doing anything you want to do. And obviously people who have money in positions of power, they think they're untouchable. And this is what happens to people. I don't care if you have people that were in the mob. I don't care. I mean, Al Capone was a good example. He got taken down. And you have people all through history who thought they were untouchable, but they end up self-destructing. And there's another good example, as God King points out, of another person who's self-destructing. You know, paying people for affairs and having all this kind of stuff on the side so they wouldn't talk. All this kind of stuff out there is out there because people tend to not be able to control themselves. Now, why is it do these people want to have all these multiple affairs? Let's ask ourselves that question. Let us ask ourselves that question. That's a good question, because I was in that mode of thought for many, many years myself. And a lot of that comes back down to this perceived impression of a real man being someone that can sleep with a lot of women. I think it was Will Chamberlain one time, he said that he slept with 1,000 people or something like that. So why does that matter? It matters in the aura of men that we've been brought up with, thinking this is the way men should be. Not realizing that's the opposite. Once again, this blue matrix that we're talking about. People highlighting, oh, it's good to go out. What's wrong with you? Can't you go out and sleep with somebody? Can't you find a girl? You know, can't you go ahead and attract people? So guys spend their life trying to do this, realizing that this is not what life's about. It's wonderful to have a wife. It's wonderful to have kids. It's wonderful to be single. Whatever your choice is. But remember, you are the person that should be working on yourself. And those are the types of things improve. You won't get yourself in any of these kind of situations if you're working on yourself. You'll find the right kind of person to be with. You won't be looking at that person as an object. That's one of the benefits of the retention plan. You look at that person as a person. Now you can have a relationship with that person, and all of a sudden, now you can work on things and solve them together, and now you have a situation, right, that can be effective. But one of the problems with porn and one of the problems of looking at pictures all the time is the fact that you're looking at persons as an object. And so these people in power, they're looking at these people as just objects. And it's no wonder they start doing with people who work for them, position of power. They've been doing this for years. You know, if you're a high-ranking person and doesn't have a couple of girlfriends on the side, they start comparing that with other people and saying, what's wrong with you? This is the kind of society that we have built up in this blue matrix. And this is the same thing as Sodom and Gomorrah, same thing as all these other ones went into. So we are different. We're that 1% who realize that that is dangerous. And all you got to do is look at all the stories you've seen lately. Not just this one that God King is talking about, but all these other ones, right? I don't care if it's that guy that was a movie producer, right? I don't care if you're talking about politicians we see all the time. You know, one problem or another, you know, that they're doing. And it becomes more deviant as time goes on. Well, why is that? Well, these people, even though they're doing bad things, they're caught into a habit. They're forming a habit because they can't control this superpower. And as a result, they believe the best thing to do is let it go. I think it was Oscar Wilde once said, if you have a problem, an addiction, feed into it and go away. I think he was being half cynical, but there's something to that. People go ahead and feed into it, trying to satiate it so much that they won't want to do it anymore. And this is what people do. They become addicted. I don't care if you're addicted to alcohol. I don't care if you become addicted to overeating or sexual behaviors. And it doesn't stop. Once you have that power, it's the dopamine. It's a power of being rich or famous. And all of a sudden now you get into all these bizarre behaviors. We saw this back even, a couple hundred years ago. We're talking about the English monarchy, hierarchy. All you got to do is look at all the history of this happening over and over and over again. And why is it? Well, because men and women have this control and this power, and they want to control people. A lot of sexual behaviors are control oriented. I'm controlling you, you're controlling me. Some people want to be controlled, some people don't want to be. They want to be the controllers. And you see this a lot, whether it's slaves. Look at books you see. People write books and these type of things all the time, harems and all kinds of stuff. And these people all like the control. This is nothing but a control thing. Now, if you're doing it to procreate and have a child with the person that you care about, that's a whole different matter. I think God, I believe God, at least in my opinion, approves of that. But I don't believe God approves of any of this other kind of stuff. But this is the same behaviors you've seen, and it's just a matter of time before a lot of these people get the same kind of result they did in Sodom and Gomorrah, or Babylon. It only took an hour to eliminate Babylon. And I think it was less than that with Sodom and Gomorrah. So it doesn't take long to get people to just go away. And so this is why I am always worried and scared in a good way, fearful of the Lord, in that idea that at any moment, right, the Lord can come and say, it's your time. Because he has said there's enough of the bad behavior going on, enough of people who are debasing God, doing anything they want. They are trying to be their own God. And they become so much into themselves that they're not really caring about other people. And we see this in our government. We see this all over the place, right? People who are only interested in themselves. And so I think this is a fascinating topic, and I think that God King 3192 brought it to our attention with a nice, interesting comment. It's just not him, right? It happens all the time. There's lots of people who are in power. Very few people that I've ever seen who had a lot of money and power who were able to control themselves, especially with their energy level. Now, it's always a double-edged sword, okay? If you're able to do some things to control your power, you always have to watch out that the temptation is there. These women, and I'm talking about the men now, the women will be after you. They sense your power. They sense you're holding in your seed. They sense it. And because they sense it, they want it. Now, they won't even say that. They didn't even recognize it. But biologically, they will feel better when you transfer that seed to you. This is why women are happy most of the time and excited, while the men fall asleep after it. Because they've exhausted, but they've transferred energy. Now, who are you transferring it to? Somebody who is going to be your lifelong type partner? Or are you doing it to somebody who is just somebody you're going to see maybe next time in a month or two? Or even on a bed sheet, right? This is why we talk about the fact that this is so important to mankind right now. For us to recognize more and more people need to retain for longer periods of time. Of course you want to have children, but sex is not the end all. And I can't believe I'm saying this, because for years I thought the opposite. We're not here just to have sex. Pleasure. This is where the problem occurred starting in the 60s and onward, with people, the me generation, all these things we heard about. People want to go ahead and have their own pleasure. They want short-term pleasure, not realizing the ramifications to other people long-term. Whenever you sleep with somebody, there's a mark that's left on you and that person. And if women sleep with a bunch of people, this is why back in the old days they would go ahead and put, marks on people. Scarlet Letter is a good book to read one day about how they did that. Because the fact was, you are left with something. People know who you are. But nowadays we see it as this commonality. Go ahead and sleep with anyone because people are all free. Well, as the old Spider-Man quote, right? With the great power you have within inside yourself comes great responsibility. So we go back to this thing about people who have superpower. We're talking about men now, superpower men. We all have this great energy. How we use it is the key. And I'm here at 61 years old telling you that I feel like I'm 25 right now. I wish I would have kept most of the energy I had lost, except for my 3 kids. Because the whole idea is that I can't imagine what I would be like. And this is the whole thing too, guys. These people who are accomplishing things, but they're so using destructive behaviors, can you imagine what they would be doing successfully? if they didn't. I mean, the best example was Mike Tyson. Look at Mike Tyson. For 5 years, he destroyed people. But he was also on retention for 5 years. And all that energy superpower came out. As soon as he got off of it, he started to lose. And that is not a coincidence. That's something that happens because, as I've seen over the last 2 years now, I'm at 780 days now, you can see very easily how draining yourself makes you weaker, and then you make mistakes. And these people who are very powerful, they make mistakes. They get caught, they do stuff that they shouldn't be doing, and all of a sudden they fall into a self-destructive phase, and now all that thing has been useless because people don't remember even what you did in the past. They just remember who you are now. So never get caught doing that, my friends. Stay on your plan. Don't look at sex as being, this great thing that you just should strive your whole life for. Don't put women on a pedestal. Don't go ahead and make them your identity. Go out, do your things, get things done, but don't fall for that temptation. All right, guys, until next time, enjoy the great day today. Today is July 20... What is today, 25th? I think it's the 25th. Yes, 25th, 2022. And until next time, guys, God bless you guys, and battle on.